us that we started with Memorial Day and moved toward the River Festival, that great spiritual holiday in Wichita. And so we sang river songs just recently. If you will, look at your bulletin at Shall We Gather at the River, the song we sang a moment ago, and consider the Wichita River Festival, of which I was a part yesterday. I was at the River Run, which those of you who know that I've had 3 knee replacements I guess a year and a half ago, so it's been a while. Will be amazed that I was at the River Run watching my daughter. I cheered her on, Pronto cup in hand. So I'm looking at this, Shall We Gather at the River, and I'm laughing to myself. Yes, we'll gather at the river, the beautiful, beautiful river. Gather with the saints. Have you been to the river? that flows by the throne of God. I'm going to have to go back. I didn't see that. Well, I'm going to move us to yet another whole topic, and that is true simplicity. My guess is that many of you would like to have more simplicity in your lives. Last year I purchased a bracelet. It had words on it, and the bracelet itself wasn't that beautiful, but I was drawn to the words on the bracelet, and I wear it quite often. It seems to just kind of call to me from my jewelry closet and begs my attention. The words on it are beauty, simplicity, honesty, integrity, wisdom, peace. The words all point me toward one thing, a deep, perhaps subconscious wish to fill my life with less rush and hurry and much more attentiveness and control and comfort and simplicity. Sacred simplicity. I'm increasingly and painfully aware that we're moving through life at a breakneck speed. All these technological devices that were promised to give us more time and make us more productive have done that. But they've also made us productive in what might have been quiet time. Between the emails, the faxes, the mobile phones, we never quite disconnect. We have, some of us, cluttered homes, lives, offices, but most of us cluttered minds. We're too busy. I'm told that the 2 characters in the Chinese in the Chinese language that form the word busy are the characters for the words heart and killing. Interesting. We're killing our hearts with our well-intended busyness. Our pace damages our souls as well. Imagine for a moment a caricature of your soul in today's paper. Well, it's not in today's paper, but you're imagining, right? And your soul is in this caricature. Perhaps it's like many, a little malnourished, perhaps even emaciated, a little disconnected from the rest of you. And can you imagine in this cartoon your poor, skinny soul running around behind you, trying to get in a word with your mind in the chaos, crying, "Hey, wait for me!" Do you ever have that experience? According to studies, a focus on achievement and wealth, or even acquiring possessions, can lead us to serious spiritual misery. People who have a sense of self-worth and well-being actually have stronger immune systems, they're more creative, they actually earn more money, they cope better with life's challenges, and they're more generous, altruistic with their things. So at the beginning of the summer here, let's all take a moment away from the harried pace of our work, our busyness, and let our souls catch up with us. If there was ever a people group who felt separated from their souls. It was the Israelites in the time of the prophet Jeremiah. They were on a downhill slide with 4 corrupt and godless kings in a row, and their own leaders were deported to Babylon. The people were on this long road of despair and immorality and hopelessness, and the prophet Jeremiah had the glorious job of reminding the people how to redirect their lives in order to recreate this spiritual balance between busyness and simplicity. Our traditional word is from Jeremiah 29. You'll find it in your bulletin. And this is what Jeremiah writes to the people of Babylon, the people of Israel who are in Babylon. Thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, to all the exiles whom I have sent into exile from Jerusalem to Babylon. Build houses and live in them. Plant gardens and eat what they produce. Take wives and have sons and daughters. Take wives for your sons and give your daughters in marriage, that they may bear sons and daughters. Multiply there and do not decrease. But seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile, and pray to the Lord on its behalf. For in its welfare you will find your welfare. For thus says the Lord, only when Babylon's 70 years are completed will I visit you, and I will fulfill to you my promise and bring you back to this place. For surely I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord. Plans for your welfare and not for harm, to give you a future with hope. And then when you call upon me and come and pray to me, I will hear you. When you search for me, I will find you. When you search for me, you will find me. If you seek with all your heart, I will let you find me, says the Lord. And I will restore your fortunes and gather you from all the nations and all the places where I have driven you, and bring you back to the place from which I sent you into exile. So these ancient words give us guidance on how to create a balanced life and a sense of sacred simplicity. I want to go through, and I've listed kind of an outline in the bulletin under the contemporary word of things we can do to be more present in our lives. The first is realize that you are loved by God. Jeremiah says, I know the plans I have for you, plans for your well-being, reserving for you a future full of hope. Can you believe that? That there are plans for you and a future full of hope? In the context of this text, the words are actually a rebuke of false prophets who think that they understand God's thoughts, but they do not. Only God does. Some translations even say it, I alone know the plans I have for you. Here's what the passage says to me. I alone know the desires that I have for you. The prophets don't know my plans, and neither do you, Robin. Nor do you need to, because I have told you my desire is for your well-being. In this light, the following verses 12 to 14, become especially beautiful. They say, then when you pray to me, I will hear you. When you feel your desire for me, you will find me. When you want me with all your heart, I will let you. Say, at least to me, that it's not God's will that counts, simply that by God. The second thing I think we can do to create more simplicity in our lives is to be outgoing, or at least act outgoing. Now, I'll tell you a secret. Don't tell anyone. I score on the Myers-Briggs a 6 out of 10 introvert, a 4 extrovert. When you see me, I'm guessing you don't see that in me.
That's because I drink a lot of coffee. Actually, studies show that people who are outgoing and friendly are more likely to find a partner, more likely to land a job, and more likely to make friends. Extroverts tend, can you believe this, to lead more satisfying lives than introverts, and their approach to life pays off in a variety of ways. But don't worry if you're like me and more introverted than extroverted, or basically a proverbial wallflower, because according to the research, if you pretend you're an extrovert, it boosts your happiness anyway. And in a series of 3 different studies, the students were directed to act alternatively outgoing and then reserved during group discussion sessions, and the students reported feeling happier and more positive when they were acting more positive and happier, when they were acting like extroverts, and when they aimed to be introverts, their moods plummeted. God's instructions to the Hebrew people weren't to be extroverts, but to go about their business, to build houses, plant gardens, find partners, have children, work for the success of the city they didn't even want to be in. In other words, when the going is tough and you are feeling in your spirit like an exiled person, get involved in your life. The next tip is related to that. It's number 3, connect with others. The more we get out and give to others, the more positive our experience and the greater happiness we will experience. That's according to John Tassi, who is a professor of psychiatry at Oklahoma City University. 26% of people reporting that they have fewer than 5 friends considered themselves very happy. But that number jumped from 25 to 38% when they had more than 5 friends. Ironically, our human tendency is to kind of withdraw when we're feeling down. For example, quite often, those who stay away from church are the ones who need it the very most. That's why it's critically important to check in on each other. As Paul said, we're a community, we choose to be here, to check in when we see a change in someone's attendance patterns, because when we connect with each other, our spirits are uplifted, and it matters to those who have been gone. Number 4, own your choices. Research shows that when a person feels that their activities are self-chosen and at least agreed to, then the person is happier. When nursing home patients are allowed to make choices about their own environment and to have a say in the facility's policies, they stay more alert and active and happy. You don't have to be the corporate chief or the top decision maker to be happy. You simply need to participate in and feel ownership in your life choices. Even if someone else makes the decision, we need to internalize and feel included in the decision to increase our happiness. So when the Israelites were exiled to Babylon, it would have been easy for them to become inferior, subservient people. And of course, they had to do some of that. But God instructs them through Jeremiah, work for the success of the city that I sent you to. If it succeeds, you too will enjoy success. So own your choices, participate in decisions that involve you, and you will find a sense of peace. The 5th is think positively to increase your health and well-being. As I've already said, optimistic people are less bothered, but the research shows they're less bothered by minor illnesses, and they're more likely to recover from major setbacks like surgery and cancer. Optimists are quicker to recover from infection, and they have less chronic pain. So let's all be a little more optimistic, don't you think? And here's the best news. Optimism isn't something you're born with or without. You can choose your attitude. Researchers in the Netherlands recently found that those who see the glass as half full have actually a lower risk of heart disease or death from any cause than those who see the glass half empty. So if you want to create a balanced and healthy life, choose to reframe your perspective and be a positive person. We'll all like you more. There's a story, it was supposed to be a joke, but you all know it, there's a little truth in it. There's a story of two dogs, both at separate times walked into the same room. One came out of the room wagging his tail, and the other one came out of the room growling. A person watching the dog's reaction went into the room to see what could possibly have made one dog so very happy and wagging, and the other one so mad. Turned out that the room was full of mirrors. The happy dog found 1,000 happy dogs looking back at him, while the angry dog saw only angry dogs growling at him. The truth, of course, is that what we see in the world around us is actually a reflection of who we are. The final suggestion from Jeremiah is to pay attention. When we slow down and we pay attention to life, even the simplest acts become very rich in spiritual meaning. Author and philosopher Sam King calls it kneading, like kneading bread, kneading the vision of the sacred into the dough of everyday life. So ponder a sunset or two. Notice the colors of the sun that reflect through the trees. Cook and savor the taste of fresh, real food. Hold your child or grandchild on your lap and smell their hair. Take a long bath or a long walk. Look deeply into the eyes of someone you love or respect. In a book entitled Spiritual Literacy, Frederick and Marianne Brassat write this: "The spiritual life is, at the root, a matter of seeing. If all of life is seen from a certain perspective, it's the waking, sleeping, dreaming, eating, drinking, working, loving, relaxing, creating, walking, sitting, standing, and breathing. It's the spirit that suffuses everything. And so the spiritual life is simply life. Whatever and wherever, seen from a specific vantage point of spirit." So as your pastor, I would ask you this week, what do you do to rebirth the spirit within you? If you have some suggestions or ideas, I would love to hear your thoughts. Email or call me this week and let me know what makes a difference for you in your life.